Is still sitting on $600 million in American Rescue Plan money. Georgia has even more. The Peach State still hasn't spent $3.9 billion of those federal funds. It's supposed to be used to help solve many of the problems caused by the pandemic and help make industries even better than before the crisis. Well, tonight, as we close out our series, Liam Collins tells us how Tennessee state representatives could use that money to help everyone cope with the effects of COVID.
We found out the COVID pandemic has led to staffing shortages in our hospitals and police departments, setbacks in classrooms, and financial holes that could take years for businesses to recover from. The American Rescue Plan was meant to solve so many of those problems. Our state representatives say they still can.
That money has to be gotten out into the community. I think that's one area, in my view, the administration has been very slow about.
Lawmakers in Nashville are sitting on hundreds of millions in federal dollars. The funds were distributed to states last year as part of the American Rescue Plan Act. The money can be used to solve problems caused by the pandemic.
It's not like, oh boy, here's $600 million. Now you just go spend it however you want to do it. There's only certain parameters that they can spend it. We just administer it.
The plan requires the funds to be spent to make improvements to water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, increasing pay for essential workers and support for small businesses. The money must be spent by 2026.
I want to believe that within that time frame, the next 4 years, that we can be stabilized when it comes to our small businesses.
There's no incentive that I can think about to bring back somebody to do it. If we ever go down that road, it never ends. On the types of incentives and who do you give the incentives to?
Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and Alabama have already spent over $10 billion from the American Rescue Plan to move on from the pandemic. Tennessee spent that money to upgrade local healthcare systems, improve tourism, and make repairs from disruptions caused by supply chain issues. The 4 states still have over $6 billion from the federal plan to move on from the devastating economic side effects of the pandemic.
Additional dollars need to go into our small businesses. The reality is that if they're going to survive, they need help at this time.
Everybody wanted a short-term fix, and that's not what we do in the legislature. Whatever we do in Nashville doesn't just apply for the next 3 or 4 months. It's forever and ever until somebody decides to change it.
Funds from the American Rescue Plan need to be spent within the next 4 years. Any money that hasn't been spent by then must be returned to the federal government. Now, if you miss any part of our series, you can still watch all 6 parts of it. Just click on the COVID section inside the Local 3 News app. In the studio, Liam Collins, Local 3.